Hey, what's up, suppers? It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to the Suit Up Podcast. Suit Up Pod can be found on iTunes and Spotify. If you're watching us here on YouTube, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Joining me today is my man Ryan. We are going to react to episode 2 of season 2 of the Umbrella Academy. Ryan, are you ready to suit up?
I'm ready to suit up.
Let's suit up.
I am Iron Man.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I want you to remember the one man who beat you.
The Force will be with you, always.
A king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun.
I do this all day. What's but a smile on that face?
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
All right, guys, we are back. Joining me today is my man Ryan. Check him out on Twitter at JustRyan again. He is part of Movies Matrix. He is part of Geekly Goods. Check out those guys at Movies Matrix and Geekly Goods on Twitter. What's going on, Ryan?
What's going on, Deeps? What's going on, man?
It's good, man. We're talking about episode 2 of the Umbrella Academy season 2. Anything you want to plug, dude, before we start doing our top takeaways and our grade of this episode?
Yeah, you guys can always find me on Twitter at JustRyan again, where Deebs just said. And I run my own channel called The Geek Fix, where me and my co-host AJ do a weekly podcast. Go check that out, guys. And I do a scripted video at least every other week. So my next one is going to be on Umbrella Academy 2. And yeah, guys, let's get into the review.
Let's do it. Let's talk about our top takeaways. Episode 2 was titled The Frankel Footage. For me personally, this was a much darker, serious tone compared to the first episode. Literally the entire episode, pun intended, was extremely dark. We're watching this at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun's coming through our windows. I could barely see certain scenes, many scenes in this episode. That was one of my first takes. What was one of your takeaways of this episode, man?
Coming off the first episode, I really like that they play on each character's personality. Like Klaus is the kind of out there spiritual one, so they make him a cult leader, which is fucking fantastic. Alice is more of a rebel, kind of fighting for the cause, so they make her a part of a Black Lives Matter type of movement within the show, and they make Luther this big broody boxing and bodyguard for a mobster. So I really like how in this episode they start building off of those personalities and really start implementing on who these people are from season 1.
Absolutely. I think we got our first glimpse of the Swedes. Was like
Yes.
It was kind of interesting to see like their idea of fun was like throwing knives into their legs. That was like kind of like,
yeah, and they were not reacting.
What the fuck kind of moments. They receive a message. They see that, it's clearly a message to kill Vanya. But I gotta go straight to my man Klaus. One of my favorite characters of this entire series, and that moment where he gives the TLC waterfalls. He's telling he has a follower. We don't know yet. I don't want to spoil anything because we're not on episode 3 yet. But there was a part where he has he's considered a prophet. He's in jail, and someone comes up to him and tells him to basically give him this like inspirational speech, and he quotes Waterfalls by TLC. Dude, one of the best laugh out loud moments in this episode, probably of all the entire series. Just Klaus as Jesus, 60 Jesus is one of my favorite characters so far. What about you?
So yeah, I would say Klaus is still my favorite character coming out of season 1, and then I would say 5 is definitely a close second for me. But honestly, it's really hard to rank all these characters because I think they all got really great strengths that I really enjoy. I think the only one that I'm still pretty indifferent with that I felt from season 1 going into this is Vanya.
Yeah,
I kind of felt like they make her out to be this really big and powerful character. And like I said in the first review, is they go back to the strategy of season 1 and they make her forget that she has powers, because that's exactly what they did in season 1. They erased her memory of her powers so she wouldn't use them to cause the end of the season and destroy the planet. So I feel like they're kind of just rehashing what they did in season 1 and not really adding too much to her character. Now, Deebs, maybe you can help me. I don't remember. Is she gay? Because I know Klaus is, but I'm getting serious more than friend vibes off of that mother that she's really close friends with. But I can't seem to remember if she's straight or not in the show.
I don't either, but there's a moment in episode 3 where you definitely can pick that up. I think there was definitely some tender moments there where it was more than just a friendship. I don't really recall, but I do agree with you that out of like Allison's story, like that is a phenomenal character arc that she's building.
Yeah.
5 just as lovable as ever. Luther, I'm really interested to see, like he's so conflicted, and so forth. Klaus, of course, just an elite character. Like Vanya's story is kind of boring. It's one of those that's a little dry. It's very slow. Obviously, like
it doesn't feel like they're really doing much with her. It feels like every character, even the fucking ghost that is Ben, they all feel like they're going through their own separate journey.
Yeah.
And then because they gave Vanya this amnesia, it just feels like she's kind of stuck in a type of purgatory that Ben's in, but he still feels like he's going on more of a journey with his relationship with Klaus in the show. And I must say that I'm really glad that Ben is getting much more this season, because I wanted to see more of him in season 1, but I knew we were getting more of him in season 2.
Yeah. And we saw the plot really thicken in this episode.
Yeah.
Stopping the Soviets from attacking the U.S., stopping their father from killing JFK. I thought that was one of the awesome moments where it was, this episode is titled The Frankel Footage. We finally get to see what that actually mean. And they see their father, their dad on a grassy knoll. And that was a really, really kind of interesting moment. What was your take on that one?
I didn't think it was too shocking. At first, I thought it was Diego because the picture was really blurry and the kind of goatee kind of matched with him. So I'm like, wait, why the fuck is Diego there? And then they said their father. I'm like, oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if people feel the same way, but I really like what they're doing in setting up the father. I always forget his name because they say father a lot. But I really like how they're implementing him within the season, even after he's dead from like the first episode of season 1.
Yeah, so the big reveal in this episode was that Lee Harvey Oswald's actually the dad, Sir Reginald Harker.
Yeah.
So that was a really, really interesting part. I thought Diego in the mental hospital was really interesting. Just Vanya is just kind of like there. And I just kind of, that's the only thing that I've been kind of negative about. I missed the violin score, and then I wanted Vanya to take that next step because they built her up almost like Captain Marvel in the MCU. Like they're saying, like she's going to be this awesome character, and it just has been disappointing so far.
Yeah, I really hope that I'm on episode 5 right now. I really hope that they really start progressing her. From what I see after episode 4, it seems like they're going in that direction, but I want to see more because I feel like there's so much more power to her. I really wish we started seeing just from the get-go how she controls her powers and how she's just scared of it, because now she has to relearn everything that she had to relearn from season 1 already. So it just seems like she's just walking on a treadmill at this point. She keeps walking, but she's not going anywhere.
And that's exactly how I felt. Like she's the missing. She doesn't belong. Like you saw Luther and Allison. Luther meet Raymond actually for the first time and realize that Allison's married, and that dynamic was really, really effective. And like that to me, that needs more time. Like that. This was like in this episode was like, I'm done with Vanya. Like I want to see more of what's going on with Allison's character. I want to see how Luther and Raymond and Klaus are all interconnected, and that was a really strong part of this episode. I was kind of lost with Vanya. So
no, I totally agree. I think Vanya is kind of that. I don't want to say lost hope, but she's definitely the one that's missing out of all of them. And not to end this on like a sour note, so I'm gonna make it a little bit brighter. I really like the development they made between Ben and Klaus's brotherly relationship. How Klaus is always the one that kind of wants to do the dumb shit, not really caring. And then his ghost brother's kind of like, man, you're a fucking idiot. Why are you doing this? And they kind of had this nice banter back and forth. And then it's even funnier when they show it from a third person perspective of someone like driving by and Klaus is just like fighting with the air.
Yeah.
And when they go back and show you what's really happening, it really looks like he's struggling when he really shouldn't be. So I think that's a really good thing that they're building on this season.
Yeah, there's so many like elite strengths in this series so far, just through two. Just like the ones you mentioned. Then you got Vanya. Like we didn't even talk a little bit about like, the cops taking Allison's husband, Raymond. Raymond's character is amazing in this movie. Or sorry, in the series. and there's just like Vanya's just kind of just going nowhere. So that's where he is. She's like stuck in a series of great characters that have really interesting character arcs, and she's just there.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see more of the Swedes. I've not read the comic books, so I have no clue what the fuck's going on. I mean, this was the episode we got introduced to. I don't know the character's name. You might know it, but the kind of higher up of the time travel bureau with the fish bowl head.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how hard I laughed when he smoked the cigarette.
Yeah.
He puts it through his neck and then the fish blows, just like inhales the bubble. It's fantastic. I thought it was great. It's like, it's so out there, but it kind of keeps itself within reach of normalcy at the same time, which I think the show does really well at the same time.
And then we got at the end of the episode, we see Diego and his dad, was it not his dad, go into like this mano-a-mano fight. And for me, it was like brutal to watch. Absolutely brutal to watch. And see the dad eventually stab Diego. And for me, I was like, that's not his dad. That's not real, because we never got confirmation. I'm like, and you see Pogo join him off screen. I'm like, oh, no, that's fucking his dad. What was your reaction to that?
I was definitely shocked to know that he has some sort of powers, but they also didn't give us too much information in season 1 for me kind of not to guess at the same time. But I'm really excited to see where they bring General Hargreaves in this season. I definitely think just the way they talk about him in the show, he just seems like a really interesting character, just with everything deep down within the man. Why I think we're going to get throughout the season within the next 5 episodes that I'm on, that I think they're going to get more deep into why he created the Umbrella Academy. And I feel like, theory real quick, I feel like he kind of had some play, obviously, in the Kennedy assassination that led to the Umbrella Academy coming to fruition. And that's why he made a bunch of superhero kids. But him being a super powered human being or person in general took me by surprise that he could hold up against Diego, who's had 20 years or 30 years of experience by this point.
All right. That is Bat Nipples. Make sure you check him out on Twitter at Just Ryan. Again, check him out at Movies Matrix. Check him out at Geekly Goods. Check out the YouTube channel, his YouTube channel at The Geek Fix. Any final thoughts, Ryan?
I think even though we have a problem with the violence, I still think we get enough character growth from the other 6 characters that it still keeps it really intriguing, because they don't spend too much time with Vanya, but they spend just enough time to where I don't get bored and I'm like, come on, let's just get to another character. But they definitely firm more down into Allison having a bigger role. Luther and his feelings towards what happened at the end of the season and his feelings towards Allison. And I completely forgot that Vanya like slit her throat at the end of the first season too. So I'm like, oh shit, that's right. She slit her throat. So honestly, I think it's just as good as the first episode.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with a 9 out of 10 on this one.
Wow. All right. I'm not as high as that. I gave the first episode an 8.5. I went to a 7.5. 7.5 for me it's a good episode. I really, really enjoyed it. Not as strong as the first episode. However, I think that's a lot. That's going to change drastically in the 3rd episode. For Ryan, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Check you out next time.
Thanks so much, guys.
I am Iron Man.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I want you to remember the one man who beat you.
The Force will be with you. Always.
A king's time as ruler rises and falls like the sun.
I do this all day. What's but a smile on that face?
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always open.
Some men just want to watch the world